Hey, how are you today? This is the last math video of the year. It is kind of sad, but at the same time, hopefully I'll get to see you guys sometime soon, and hopefully next year that life will be normal again and we'll be here in school. But hard to tell what the future may bring. Just gotta trust God. It has it all in control here. And anyhow, I saved a good video for you guys today. One of the coolest things in math called the Pythagorean Theorem. Alright? Pythagorean Theorem is named after a guy named Pythagoras, and he lived before Jesus. Okay, he was a Greek mathematician. He led a cult of people that worshipped math called the Pythagoreans. Okay, and they created some important math theorems. Now, Pythagoras might have not even made this theorem. It might have been one of his cult people. And I know you all might want to run off and join a math cult, but you shouldn't because, the Bible says there's only one God, and that's not the God of math, but it's the God of everything, which I guess includes math. Anyhow, here are some important definitions that you guys will need to know. What a theorem is, okay, because this is all about a Pythagorean theorem, and a theorem is just like a theory, but it has been proven to be true. That's the difference. All right, this theorem only applies when you have a right triangle, okay? That's one with a 90-degree angle. All right, and this theorem involves figuring out which side is which on the right triangle. The longest side has a special name. It's called the hypotenuse. Okay? It is the longest side of the right triangle, and it's always opposite the right angle. Alright, so you have to identify which one is the hypotenuse. Okay? And the hypotenuse gets the letter C. So here's a right triangle. Alright, so you should look for the box to make sure it's a right triangle. Alright. The hypotenuse is the one that's opposite, means not connecting to form the right angle, but on the opposite side of it. So this side right here is the hypotenuse. Alright. Now these other sides we call legs. Okay. And it doesn't matter which leg is which leg as long as you know which one's the hypotenuse. So this theorem is very, very useful for many things, such as figuring out heights of buildings, okay, figuring out pitches on roofs, all types of good construction type things. Alright, so remember, this is for what type of shape? Right triangles. Alright, C is the hypotenuse. Other two sides are A and B. The Pythagorean theorem states, and you want to memorize this, okay? This is going to be used a lot in your math future. A squared plus B squared equals C squared, okay? So that means you can figure out any one of these three sides if you have the other two and you solve this equation, okay? Just remember the hypotenuse is the one by itself and it's C. So let's go ahead and use this theorem. Alright, so pictorially, what this actually means, if you take the area here, you add it to the area here, you get the area of this side, okay, or this square here, okay? A squared, which actually is a square worth of area, B squared, which is a square worth of area, is equal to C squared, which is a square worth of area. Alright, let's go ahead and calculate the hypotenuse here. Alright, so you see the one they don't have labeled as C, so we're calculating the hypotenuse. So we're going to do 8 squared plus 15 squared. Alright, equals C squared. So you do want to use your calculator here if you get into some ugly big numbers. 8 squared is 64, 15 squared is 225, and that's equal to C squared. Alright, you add 64 and 225, you get 289. Okay. and the square root of 289. Does anybody know what that is by chance? It is 17. Okay, now in your calculator, okay, so you've got c squared by itself here. You want to figure out what c is. Okay, c squared is not the length of this side, so you have to figure out what c is. And to undo c squared, we did this earlier this year, you use square roots. The square root of 289 is what number times itself is 289, okay? And then you could use this square root key in your calculator, and then type in 289 and it'll give you 17. Alright, so hopefully that makes sense. If you substitute it in here, it should give you the same thing on both sides of the equation. Okay, I want you guys to try to do this one here. They give you the legs, you just have to find the hypotenuse, just like the last one. So let's go ahead and solve it here. So you have 12 squared plus 9 squared. Okay, remember a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Okay, 12 squared is 144. 9 squared is 81. Okay, that's equal to c squared. You add these two together, you get, let's see, 225, I believe. Yes. And then you square root to get your answer. Square root of 225 is 15. So that's the hypotenuse. 15, and you should label your answer 15 meters. I probably forgot to label this one. Bad, Mr. Yakko. Yep, 17 meters. Okay, remember to label your answer. That's important there. Know the units you're talking about. All right, this time we are not finding the hypotenuse. Okay, because in this one, what is the hypotenuse? It's 9, right? So we can either replace a with x or 6, because it doesn't matter which leg is which, okay? We're going to replace b with 6, and c is going to be 9 here. All right, so let's go ahead and set up the equation. We'll have x squared plus 6 squared equals 9 squared. Okay, so the first thing you got to do is square the numbers. 6 squared is 36, 9 squared is 81. All right, this time you can't simply square root both sides. Before you do that, you have to think about how to solve an equation, and that is always try to get the variable by itself. So you undo the addition with subtraction here. Looks like we'll have to borrow. So it's 11. All right, so that's 11 minus 6 is 5. 7 minus 3 is 4. So we have x squared equals 45. All right, you might be thinking I'm done, but remember x squared is not your answer. You want x. So you need to square root both sides to get x. Square root of 45, well, there is no perfect square root. So you have to use the calculator and get an approximation. So this is about 6.7 inches. Okay, so we should use not equal to, but the little curlies to show that this is an approximation. Alrighty, so that's what you would do if the variable is not the hypotenuse. Alright, so here, this is the same problem for practice 2. So we're going to skip out on that for now. Let's look at a real life example here about carpentry, okay? Span, rise, rafter length, they're all carpenter terms, okay? He wants to make a roof that has a span, so that's this distance here of 24, and a rise of 8.5, okay? How much length should the rafter be? This is the rafter here, so we're looking for that. Okay, so it looks like, you know, we have a right triangle here, okay, and the rafter is going to be C. All right, now you might be tempted to say, okay, we have 24 squared, right, but not right. Okay, you want to use half of 24 because this triangle here is a right triangle. This whole way across is not going to be a right triangle in most cases, so you have to make it into a right triangle. Alright, so we're going to figure out our rafter C by doing 12 squared plus 8.5 squared, okay, equals C squared. So you guys probably can do the rest of it here, and you'll have to estimate this one. Alright, so you can see what I did here. And I squared the numbers, then I took the square root of 216.25, and I got about 14.7 feet. Okay, time for you guys to do a couple more practice one. Alright, I hope you can see 4 and 5 there. You can pause the video and try to do these two on some paper. Hope you got your calculator. Then we'll go over them. Alright, okay, for number 4, you're finding the hypotenuse. So it's always good to draw out a picture. I forgot to label it's a right angle, so it's a right triangle. You're looking for C. So the equation a squared plus b squared equals c squared would mean you have 4 squared plus 5 squared equals c squared. Add up the numbers, you get 41. Square root of 41 is about 6.4 inches. Okay, let's go over number 5 now. So in this one, you have the hypotenuse because you see the longest side's 14, that's c squared, it's opposite the right angle. So you are missing one of the legs. You could call this a or b, it doesn't matter. Alright, so you could do 8 squared plus a squared, or b squared, or a squared plus 8 squared. It's equal to 14 squared. So you square 14, you get 196. You square 8, you get 64. Next, you need to subtract 64 from both sides. Alrighty. And then we'd have a squared equals 132, square root both sides, and then you can round your answer to the nearest tenth as 11.5 feet. Okay, so should be approximately there. And alright, so that's it. Hopefully you can do the Pythagorean theorem now. Just remember a squared plus b squared equals c squared. That's the ticket. Find the hypotenuse. And the rest is just math. Alright guys, it was a pleasure teaching you this year. I hope I get to do that again sometime soon. Alright, have a great summer. I'm sure I'll say it again to you, but I like to say it anyhow a bunch of times because it's a good thing to enjoy. Alright, God bless you guys. Bye-bye.